Rachel. So today I wanted to make a video that's pretty long overdue, talking about one of my favorite pieces of guitar-related gear, the Yamaha THR10. This amp right here has been an invaluable tool for me over the past 2 years for both practice and recording, and I want to tell you a little bit more about it and also play through some demos of different settings on the amp. I've gotten a lot of requests to talk about this amp in the past. As I've said, I've been meaning to make this video for a very long time, so let's get into it. Also, just wanted to mention that this video is not sponsored in any way by Yamaha. I just really like this amp. I want to start out by talking a little bit about the amp and its features, and then I'll get into playing some demos with the different settings on the amp. So to start out, what is the Yamaha THR10? The THR10 is a modeling amp that gives you a variety of sounds to work with and also works well as a recording interface. The amp uses a special Yamaha technology called virtual circuitry modeling to give you a realistic sounding and feeling amp. Because of that, it actually works pretty well with pedals despite it being a modeling amp, and you can get certain things you would expect from a normal amp, like rolling off the volume on the guitar, changing how the amp sounds. That will work on this amp as well. Now to talk about some features of the amp has built-in stereo speakers and a orange glow to kind of model the tube amp glow of a real amp, and these speakers sound pretty good at any volume, and you can play back your guitar out loud through the amp if you like to. The amp also has a headphone jack, which makes this an awesome practice tool. You don't have to bother your neighbors, and you can listen to all the great sounds of this amp and your guitar through your headphones, nice and quietly. The ability to play anytime quietly makes this amp a great practicing tool, and I use it like this most of the time. When I'm practicing with headphones, I tend to use my Audio-Technica ATH-M50X headphones, and these are pretty highly recommended. I saw them recommended widely online for practicing and listening to instruments without distorting the sound quality too much, so if you're interested in checking these out, I'll have a link in the description. The THR10 also has an Aux Jack, so you can plug in your phone or an MP3 player and play over a backing track or over your favorite songs, and again, that makes it really great for practicing. One of the most important features for me with this amp is that there is a USB plug on the amp so you can directly connect it to your computer. This USB connection allows you to do a number of very useful things. For one, you can listen to any audio from your computer on your amp, so if you're playing back a song on the computer or like looking at backing tracks on YouTube, you can just play along with those very easily without having to worry about an auxiliary cable. This is also great for practicing and learning things by ear because you can use tools that slow down music so you can pick things out and have that all connected through your amp. One of the other main reasons that this USB connection is so great is because it allows you to use the THR10 as a recording interface. The THR10 outputs both a dry and a wet signal, so you can get both the undistorted, clean tones just directly out of your guitar into your computer that you can then use with an amp simulator like Bias FX like I do now, or you can record the wet signal which has all of the THR10 effects applied and get that on your computer as well. For my first probably 10 or so videos, I use the sounds directly from the THR10 on my recordings, and it sounds really great. If you're connecting the amp to the computer, there's also actually a THR10 editor app that allows you to customize the amp sounds a little bit more easily than you can on the amp itself, and I'll be showing you some presets from that later. Although I'm no longer using the sounds directly from the THR10 for my guitar videos, I am still using it as a recording interface, and it just is a great tool. The THR10 definitely sounds great. You can certainly use it for recording. For instance, I used it in my Nightwish covers, in my cover of Paranoid, in my cover of Ghost songs, I think both Square Hammer and Cerise, and it just sounds great overall. But I've been using modeling software like Bias FX recently just because of the added flexibility of being able to dramatically change my sound after the fact and not having to set it up beforehand. Either way though, whether you're using the sounds or not, the THR10 is a great recording tool. Another cool thing about this amp is that it can be both battery and AC powered, so if you wanted to, you could bring a battery for the amp and bring it along with you outside. I haven't actually done this before, but it is a possibility. One feature of this amp that I use a lot is the built-in tuner. So all you have to do is hold down a button on the amp, and that will turn off the output of the guitar so you can just tune silently, and I use that before every practice session. So now before we get into listening to some of the sounds that this amp can produce, let's talk about what sorts of sounds are provided. So the amp comes built in with 5 different amp models. It has a clean model, a crunch model, a lead model, a Brit high model, and a modern one. These are all based on existing amps, and you can get some really great sounds out of them. You can also actually play your bass through the amp. There is a bass setting, as well as an acoustic guitar setting, and a flat setting, which will just play back your guitar with no effects on it. So once you've selected a model, you can customize it by changing the bass, the middle, and the treble, and you can also change the gain and the master volume. There are also quite a few built-in effects on the amp. You can have chorus, you can have phaser, you can have tremolo, You can have flanger, so lots of cool things there. We'll get into some of those in a minute. There's also delay and reverb, and you can get some really cool sounds with just the amp itself, no need for any pedals. You can also change the guitar volume here, which allows you to customize how loud you're playing, and you can also change the volume of the USB and auxiliary output separately from the guitar. Another really nice feature is that if you've customized something that you really like and you want to be able to keep that tone and play it in the future, there are 5 included memory slots where you can just hold down a button and save that tone for later. So then if you want to use that tone that you've customized again, you can just hit the button and you're ready to go. So now let's get into listening to some of the sounds. For this I'll be recording the audio from the THR10 through USB directly into Reaper so that you can get better audio quality than you would through my camera microphone. I'm going to be demoing some of the presets that are included with the THR10 app on the computer. So to start out, let's take a look at the modern setting. This is one of my favorites and one I tend to use a lot. So that was with the bridge pickup, and now let's try the neck pickup. So those are some of the sounds you can get from the modern modeling amp. So now let's try out the Brit High preset. I use this one a lot as well. I use it in a lot of videos where I was recording with the THR10. It has a great kind of older metal sound, and I really like it. And now let's go to the neck pickup. So that was a sample of some sounds you can get from the Brit High setting on the amp. So now let's try out a lead model preset. This is good for something like classic rock. And now let's try out the neck pickup. So those are some of the tones you can get with the lead model on the THR10. Next up, let's try out the crunch model with one of the presets from the THR10 PC app. And now through the neck pickup. So those are some examples of the sounds you can get with the crunch model on the THR10. And last but not least, let's check out the clean model on the amp. Now for the neck pickup. So those are some examples of the clean model on the amp. So overall, the amp sounds really great for what it is, and there's a lot of versatility with all the different models and all the different things you can do with them. Those were just a couple of examples of some of the presets, but you can tweak them as much as you want with all the different controls that I mentioned before. Now I thought it'd be fun to briefly look at some of the effects you can use on the amp and just play around with it. So now I have the amp on a Brit High preset that I tend to use a lot. And now let's just play around with some of the effects. So to start out, let's try adding a little bit of chorus. Or a lot. Okay, now let's try adding a little bit or a lot of flanger. Honestly, I never used this, but it's cool it's included. Well, I just broke a string on camera, so I guess we're going to switch to my other guitar for the rest of this video. Okay, so now that we're ready to go again with this guitar, let's get back to testing out the amp. I guess the power of the flanger was a little too strong for my other guitar. Okay, now let's see what else we have here. We have a phaser, also a lot of fun. Now I'm turning up all these effects all the way to their max on the amp, but if you didn't want to do that, you could just turn it a little bit less. You can customize it on the amp, and even more so in the app on the computer. So now here's the phaser. Okay, now let's try the tremolo. So much easier this way. And then of course you have your more standard effects, delay and reverb. On the amp you have the option to delay alone, delay and reverb combined, or different types of reverb, hall, and spring. So let's just play around with delay and reverb briefly. So I hope that my demonstrations of the different amp models gave you a good idea as to what the THR10 sounds like. To me it sounds really great, and I just gave you a small sample of the sounds that it can produce. You can customize it to your liking, and there's lots of different ways to tweak things both on the amp itself and using the app on the computer. If you're looking for a slightly different sound but you like the other features that the amp has to offer, the THR10 actually comes in a few different varieties. I have the base model here, which probably offers the most variety in tones. There's also a THR10X, which offers more metal tones, and something that I might have gone with had I gotten this at a different time. There's also a THR10C, which I believe offers more bluesy and clean tones. So there's a little bit of something for everyone. Overall, as you can probably tell, I really love this amp. It has great modeling tones, and beyond that, it just is a great tool for practice and recording. With all of its features ranging from USB connectivity to its ability to act as a recording interface and the headphone jack and its ability to sound great at even low volumes, it really is just an amazing practice tool, especially if you live in a small apartment or maybe are sometimes concerned about noise. The amp comes in at around $300 new, and you can get it a little bit cheaper in the used market. For me, it's been worth every penny, and as I said, it's probably my most valuable tool for my practicing, learning, and recording. In my opinion, this amp is one of the best tools, best amps that you can get for practicing. So if any of the features I mentioned sound like they'll be useful for you, I highly recommend checking one out. I'll have a link in the description to the amp if you'd like to consider getting one of your own. The only slightly negative thing I have to say about the amp is that when I was moving, I think the box with the amp got jostled and maybe dropped in the process, and it started producing a buzzing noise sometimes when I have the volume high on the guitar, and maybe interfering a little bit with recording, so I need to get that checked out, but that's kind of my fault and not really the fault of the amp. Otherwise, really no complaints, and as I keep saying, I really love this amp and it's been just an invaluable tool for me. So I think that's about it. I hope that this video overview of the THR10 was useful for you and will help you if you're looking for a new practice amp. If you have any further questions about the amp, feel free to leave a comment down below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.